Salam alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bonsoir tout le monde. Donc je vais commencer directement parce que je prends en considération les gens qui vont regarder la rediffusion de ce direct. Et donc tout d'abord je tiens à remercier l'équipe, le team derrière le groupe RGSM. Donc je remercie Ali, Abidine, Tfag, Minatou, Mohiddin, Mohamed Salek et Mukhtar. Merci pour cette belle initiative et pour ce groupe qui réunit les jeunes scientifiques. Et c'est un privilège pour moi d'être parmi vous ce soir. Quant au sujet de ce direct, on va parler ce soir de l'importance de l'anglais pour les jeunes scientifiques, mais aussi pour n'importe quelle personne qui s'intéresse à la science. Donc on va commencer par signaler l'importance de l'anglais pour les jeunes scientifiques. Et puis je vais partager avec vous la meilleure méthode, à mon avis, pour apprendre l'anglais ou n'importe quelle autre langue. Et on va finir par, on va jeter un petit coup d'œil sur mon livre qui vient de sortir. Je vais vous dire comment ce livre va vous aider et comment vous pouvez le télécharger gratuitement sur mon site. Je vais partager avec vous le lien. Donc, je vais essayer d'aborder le sujet en anglais. Donc, je vais essayer de parler en anglais. Merci pour les gens qui nous rejoignent. Je vais essayer de parler en anglais tout au long de ce direct. Mais vous pouvez poser vos questions en anglais, en français ou en arabe. Et je vais essayer, je serai content d'essayer d'y répondre. Donc je vous souhaite une belle soirée, je vous souhaite une agréable soirée et on va commencer à parler en anglais. Donc, first things first, I will start by introducing myself. For those of you who don't know me, that's most of you. And but just before I do that, I see that we have 7 people watching us, which is a good thing. Can you guys please share with us, where are you? Thank you so much, Abidin, for saying welcome. Can you guys tell us where are you watching this live event? I'm just going to try to share it on my page so that maybe more people would join us. Okay, so my name is Sidimohamed Abderrahman, but you can call me Aziz because that's what most of my family members and okay, very good. That's what most of my family members and also close friends call me, so you can call me Aziz. I'm a university student here in Sousse, Tunisia. I study computer science, network security, namely. But I am interested in English. I enjoy learning it and I also enjoy helping other people learn it. So I launched my first website 2 years ago along with my Facebook page and my YouTube channel, and I share my experience with anyone who's interested. We have a lot of wonderful people on the page, and also in someone is asking me, I think Homeida is asking me to speak in French. I started by speaking in French. When you watch the rebroadcasting, you will see it. But the presentation is about English, so I have to speak in English. But if you have any question, you can ask it in French, and I will try definitely to answer it. Are you happy with that? Okay, so as I was saying, I launched my website 2 years ago, and recently I published a book in which I share my experience, but we will talk about that later. So we will start by talking, as I said, about the importance of English for science students. Like most of you, we are now live on this group, which is a network for youth who are interested in science. So we will start by talking about the importance of English for science students. But I will just give you a moment so that I know. I asked the question before for those of you who just joined us. Make sure you write down where are you watching. We have people from Rene, also from Rabat. That's a good thing. The name of the book, Khadi is asking about the name of the book. The name of the book is English Hand, but I will tell you everything you need about to know about the book at the end. It's the last part of this presentation. So stay with us. Can you guys tell us where are you watching this video from? Okay, Mohammed Mahmoud from Rabat, very good. Just gonna try to find the live event here so that we can get more people to watch it. I will have to put my phone on silent. Okay, that's a good point. Moulay is asking me to speak in French because I'm asking people to learn French. You will understand this when we talk about the book. My website, my Facebook page, along with the book that I wrote, the whole system is here in order to help those who understand English but they can't speak it. I prepared for this live talk in English. Everything was supposed to be in English. I talked with the admins. I told them that I would be speaking in English. They agreed. So I'm really sorry, Moulay Zain. I'm really sorry about that. If you want me to talk to you about learning English in French, you can contact me after the end of this talk and we will definitely do that. We have people watching from Casablanca. That's great. Thank you. No problem. You're welcome. Thank you for understanding. Your understanding. Okay, so let's just attack the importance of English for science students. And what I would like just to start by mentioning that nowadays, in the 21st century, without a doubt, English is the language of science. You can see, like, I'm a university student, I study computer science. I would like to ask you guys, those of you who are with us, what do you study in the university? Do you study medicine? Do you study engineering, mechanics, accountancy, management? Just tell me in a comment, what do you study in the university? Thank you, Muhammad Ahmed, for your understanding. My name is Aziz, and you can drop the mister, I'm your friend. Okay, tell me guys, what do you study in the university? Great. We have Moulay Zain who studies computer science. That's great because you will understand what I'm talking about. You and I study the same thing, so we will understand that. Okay, we have Khadi who studies math and computer science. Great. We have Mohamed Haji who studies medicine. Great. We have civil engineering. That's wonderful. I see that most of you guys study science stuff. Remote sensing. Okay, great. That's enough. You guys will understand that for all of us who study any scientific subject, English is vital. Last week I published one of my videos and the title of the video was Everyone Must Learn English. And what I wanted to do in this video is to try to argue for this statement. Try to give the 3 top reasons to learn English and also to prove that people who study science need English. And we did a funny experiment. We did the following. It's on the video, you can watch it later. So I went to YouTube as a computer science student and I typed in YouTube learning Java. So I'm interested in Java, for instance, and I want to learn the language, the programming language Java. I wrote learning Java, but I wrote it in French. Apprendre Java. I clicked on search and I was waiting for the results. And the number that I found was 40,000 results. What I did next is I switched it to Arabic. I wrote Ta'allum Lugha Java in Arabic and I found 20,000 results. And the last thing was I wrote in English learning Java and I clicked on search. And what I found is surprising in comparison with what I found earlier. And I want you guys to guess the number of results that I found. Just mind you, I found 40,000 results in French, 20,000 results in English. What do you think I will find in 20,000 results in Arabic. What do you think I will find in English? Just write it down in the comments. Do you think that I will find 60,000? Maybe 100,000? Maybe 300,000? What do you think? Write it in a comment, please. Okay, Muhammad Mahmoud is saying 100,000. Okay. He's changing his opinion to 100,000. Okay. Mulay Zain is saying million. That's good. Welcome, Salihu. Thank you so much for joining us. Salihu mentioned that. Thank you so much. We are very happy to have you with us as well. Salihu is a medicine student. Okay, what I found, as I said, was surprising. I found 2,300,000 results in English. Now, just look at the difference. I found 30,000, 40,000 in French, 20,000 in Arabic, and then 2 million in English. The difference is huge. In English, the results were in millions. Iselmu is saying 500. Yes, it is surprising. It's actually 2,300,000 results. So as you can see, if you look for any, this is not only true for Java programming language, it's basically true for any other scientific concept out there. And this experiment was only done on Google. It wasn't done, it was only done on YouTube. It wasn't done on Google. If you go to Google, you will be even more surprised. And just to give you an idea, thank you very much. That's very smart, Aziz. By the way, we have the same name. Aziz apparently he just did the experiment on Google, and he found 5,880,000 results in 0.51 seconds. That's mind-blowing. That's completely mind-blowing. You can later on, when we finish this live talk, you can test the same thing for French and for Arabic and do the comparison for yourself. Now, another point. I did a little research, and I found out, according to Wikipedia, that we have, for the moment, 70,000 languages, living languages. So 7,000 living languages. So around the world, we have 7,000 spoken languages. And English is only one of those languages. Now, if you go to the web, the content available on the web, what do you think the percentage for English? What is the percentage for English? What is the percentage of the content available on English on the web? What do you think it will be? Okay, Abdullahi is saying that it is 80% of all research stored online is in English. Okay, that's a bit exaggerated, at least according to Wikipedia, but it was the research that I have done mentioned that it was 51.6%. 51.6% for one language out of 7,000 languages. So this is just, as I said earlier, mind-blowing. And what this does is it shows us as science students. I'm super happy to have Usama with us. Usama is mentioning 65. That's close to the real number. But just imagine, we're talking about one language in comparison with 7,000 languages, and the result was 50%. That's already astronomical, sorry. So just an extra point to mention about the importance of English for science students. I'm going to ask you this question. Did it happen once in your life that your professor in the university or your teacher asked you to do a research on a scientific concept, like to look for documentation for a new software or a new term that you are not familiar with, a new scientific term or concept? Your professor is teaching you in French. You went to Google or to YouTube, you typed in the concept, and you landed on English results. Did it happen to you once in your life? Because this happened to me, and it happened to most of my friends. Muhammad Mahmoud is asking me a very wonderful question. What do I think of the future of computer science in our country? I'm just going to write it down right here so that I don't forget it. We will answer it at the end of this live talk. Mulay Zain, what do you want me to repeat? What do you want me to repeat? Just write down what do you want me to repeat, and I will repeat it. I will repeat the question. I said, did it happen to you once in your life that your professor or your teacher asked you to do a research online. Your professor is teaching you in French. He asked you to do research to look for documentation, for instance, for new software. You went to or to Google, but you landed on English. What you found was in English. Did it happen to you once in your life? Because it happened to me, and it happened to a lot of my friends who study science. I hope that's what you wanted me to repeat, Mulay. I'm waiting for your answers, guys. Just, you can answer by saying yes or no. Yes, it happened to me, or no, it didn't. Okay, Mulay is saying yes a lot of times. Aziz is saying yes, of course. Great. So we're converging to the same point here. I want more answers? Mahmoud, yes. Khadi, of course. That was one of the main reasons I studied English. That's awesome. That's awesome indeed. Okay, this happens to any science student. And this, at one point you stop and you say to yourself, if I want to continue this science career, I need to learn English. We have a lot of people, we have Osama saying yes many times in high school. Okay, I was talking about the university, but in high school is even like, it just strengthens my point. Thank you so much, Osama. So, as you can see, people are saying yes, all of them. And what this forces you to conclude is that English is necessary for science students. Is that you need to learn English for if you are studying science. Another thing is I'm sorry, my pen just fell. Another thing that happened is I would usually be sitting next to my friend in the same room, and everyone would be working on his computer because he is an engineering student. He studies robotics. We have one person asking to join the group. You guys are going to give me a minute. Okay, so I'm sorry, let me just repeat. I would be sitting next to, we have another invitation. I'm sorry, this is live. Okay, I would be sitting next to this friend, and everyone would be working on his computer, and my friend, his name is Mohammed Jagana, and he would just say, Alhamdulillah, I learned English. Not once, he would repeat it. Like, I would be sitting next to him, everyone is working on his computer, and he would just throw it like this, Alhamdulillah, I learned English. Now, you can ask Jagana about his opinion, why does he say it? But if you were to ask me, my opinion is, he's saying it because he's realizing over and over again that he needs English in order to solve the problems that he faces as a robotics student. You need English in order to read the articles. You need English in order to understand the source code. You need English in order to read that book or to watch that tutorial. So this is just a confirmation that we need English as science students. Now I'm just going to take a break to read some of your messages, but I'm asking you, do you agree with me at this point that we need English as science students? That anyone who is on this group, RGSM, needs English because it's supposed to be for science youth who are interested in science, jeune scientifique. Do you agree with me, yes or no, that we need English as science students? A PhD student. Okay, we have Talib. Yes, that's a point. You're marking a point there. Just gonna get a new pen. This time I'm gonna make sure it will not fall. Okay. Indeed, yes. All articles are in English. Yes, I agree with you. Mulay agrees with me, that's great. Hamdi also agrees with me, that's awesome. I have Muhammad Salim was saying, speak French, إياك نفهموك. I just answered this question before. I'm really sorry. We should have mentioned this on the poster. This live talk is supposed to be in English, but you can grab my Facebook and you can contact me and I will speak with you in Hassani. Okay. Yes, I agree with me. I mean, I don't agree with me. You agree with me. I'm sorry. That's okay. Great. I don't understand. Usami is saying, please don't. Maybe he's talking about the pen falling down. You can clarify, Usami. Okay, I can see that most of you agree with me. Now let's move on to the second point. Now we all understand the importance of English for us as science students. Okay, I don't mind. Sam, I don't mind if you guys write your comments in French or in Hassani. You can ask your questions, write your comments in French or in Hassani. It's my duty to speak in English, but you are not forced to write in English. Okay, so now we all understand that English is vital for science students. Okay, Salih was just adding to the point. He said that he faced a problem, the same problem, meaning he needed to English for his research, for his last project. Okay, let me just ask you this question. We now understand the importance of English for science students, but the question comes, we are motivated to learn English right now. We're motivated to learn English. But the question is, how? I'm going to talk about this, but I need to get your opinion. What do you think is the best way to learn English? Just write it and I will see it. And then I will share with you my opinion on this topic. Great. We have... Aziz, he said that he understands English, but he's unable to speak it. And he's asking me if I have any advice. Well, I have a book for you here. The title of the book is English On, which means that turn on your English, start speaking. So this book was written for you, and I will share with you how to get it at the end of this live talk. So just stay with us, Aziz, and you will get your copy, and you will start speaking in English fluently when you try to apply the lessons in this book. I'm going to repeat my question for those of you who haven't heard me yet. Okay, guys, what is the best way to learn English? Then I have my roommate. Khadi, that's a great point. That's just wonderful. Thank you so much, Khadi, for sharing this with us. Khadi said, just like children, try to imitate and listen for the native speakers and don't care about making mistakes. That's great. That's exactly what I was going to say in this live talk. Added to other things, but you just summarized the whole thing. Talib has the same problem. Don't worry. I will share with you the book at the end of this video and you will solve your problem. I'm just waiting for more answers to the question, how to learn English. Okay, we have Mohammed who's telling us Duolingo application. I know that application. Okay, it's a great idea. Learn grammar, listen to English. Read in English or read English books. That's what I see. Okay. Muhammad. Reading a lot of books and watching movies. You guys have a lot of awesome ideas. Okay, so what I will do now is I'm going to share with you a story which is in the book When you download the book, you will find it. When you download the book, no problem. The problem will be solved. I have a lot of people who are saying that they understand English but they can't speak it. Okay, I have Mutali who live in English country with English, meaning live with in a place, in a location where English is the spoken language. That's also a solution. Okay, as I said, I'm going to share with you a story. It's in the book, and after that we will just have a discussion on this story, and then we will see what is the best way. We will just conclude. I'm going to summarize what you guys have shared with me. So this story is about a language learner. Her name is Aisha. As I mentioned, the story is in the book. You will find it. And so Aisha is a young woman. She's 21 years old, and she's studying in school. She's a good student, but she's studying science, and she doesn't speak English very well. One day she was browsing the web, just watching videos, and she landed on this video in which she saw another young woman who's speaking in English fluently. This young woman was speaking in a native-like fluency. So Aisha was impressed by this, and she thought to herself, if this person is able to speak English fluently, then why can't I start speaking it fluently? And what she did is she went home and she started working on her English. She spent a lot of time reading, listening, watching movies, basically doing everything you guys have mentioned here in your comments. And at the end of the day, after 3 months or so, she wasn't able to speak in English. She's still facing a lot of problems. She's still making a lot of mistakes, and also unable to understand native speakers 100%. And when she starts to speak with someone, she faces a lot of problems. And so she sat down and she thought to herself, probably I will never be able to learn English. Maybe I should try to learn another language like French or any other language that is seemingly easier. So she's at this point and she's about to give up. But then she sat down and she said, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to carry on my learning process. I'm going to keep reading. She said, I'm going to focus on input activities. In other words, I'm going to keep listening and reading at the same time. I'm going to only listen to what I find interesting and what I understand. And also read what I find interesting and what I understand. After 6 months, Aisha noticed that her English is getting much better. And her English was getting better and better like every week. And she reached a point where she was able to speak with people, whether these people are native English speakers or not, or people who speak the language well. And she basically noticed that she is now able to speak, yes, making some mistakes, but not a lot. And nowadays, Aisha is living her dream. She speaks English fluently. Now, the question that I have, the discussion that we want to have about this story, for those of you who heard the story, have you faced this kind of problems once before? Have you reached a point where you said, I don't think I will be able to speak English because apparently it's very hard for me to learn this language? Have you reached the point where you keep making mistakes even though you're listening and reading the language? Answer the question, please, yes or no. Yep. Okay. Yep. Osama Muhammad. Great. Yes. I had the same problem. Okay. Talib said he's going to be like Aisha. That's great. Do you think Aisha should have stopped working on her English? I'm just gonna keep waiting for your comments. Okay. Okay, if you notice it, okay, let me just read Khadi's message. Great. So when you look at the story of Aisha, you will find that anyone actually who started to learn English is living the same story. Khadi is telling us that she went through the same situation, and she actually decided to learn Spanish, but then she went back to English and things started getting better and better. So you can see that Aisha is basically every one of us. For the girls it will suit, but for the boys we can call them Muhammad or Abdullah. Great. When you pay attention to the story, what did Aisha do in order to start getting a better level? What she did is she started listening and reading, but not only listening and reading. When you want to learn English, you don't listen to anything, you don't listen to everything, and you don't either listen to something just because it's in English. You listen to something because it's in English, number one. Number two, you can understand it. Number three, you find it interesting. These 3 points, you have to consider them. Number one, it should be in the target language, in our case, English. Number two, it should be understandable, comprehensible, you can understand it. Because if you can't understand it, it's a waste of your time. And we don't want you to waste your time. Number three, you have to find it interesting. Because if you keep listening to things that are boring, that you don't find interesting, you are very likely going to forget about everything at the end of the video or at the end of the podcast. So just to go back, to reiterate what Khadi mentioned in her comment, the best way to learn English is, without a doubt, the most natural one. Just ask yourself, how did you learn Hassaniya? How did you learn Hassaniya? We all learned Hassaniya by listening to our parents. So if you want to learn in your language, in this case, if you want to learn English, the only thing you need to do is to start listening to English. But when you're listening, make sure you respect the two things that we've mentioned. Make sure that what you are listening to is both understandable, comprehensible, and interesting. So we have comprehension and interest. Let me just read your messages for a moment. Exactly. The advice that I'm sharing with you is kind of generic. You can apply it to any language. That's what Khadi mentioned in her comment. So great, guys. The best thing, let me just reiterate, the best way to learn a language is the most natural one. The most natural one is the one that is based on listening. But when you're listening, you must listen to something that you understand and find interesting. Exactly, Usama, that's a great point. You need to start with the basics. I mean, but I didn't mention the basics here because we all come from the same school system. There is a whole chapter in the book that deals with why is it difficult to learn a language in school. Our school system is miserable at teaching us how to speak the language, but at least we come out with the basics. I mean, anyone who had his back, that's B-A-C, BAC, would come out with a good level in grammar and would come out with the basics of the language. Actually, what we do most of the time in classrooms, in school, is we talk about grammar, we talk about superlatives, we talk about all the things that you remember, the ER, the than, the reported speech, things that you all remember and find boring at the same time, I have to say that. So Usama, that's a great point. You have to start with the basics. But most of you, I assume that most of you have learned the basics in school. But right after that, you start attacking content in English. You start by listening, just like children in general. Just to go back to the story of Aisha. What Aisha needed to understand is that there is a phase in language learning called the silent period. In this period, you are unable to speak. You understand the language, you understand what he said, and when you see me speaking, everything I'm saying, you already have it in your brain. There is nothing new. The same vocabulary that I'm using, you have it in your brain. But your problem is your brain, there is a disagreement, or let's say there is a conflict between your brain and your mouth. Your brain has all the vocabulary that you need, but it's not yet, the brain is not yet ready to let the vocabulary out to your mouth. But this is a normal thing. This is called the silent period, and any language learner would tell you that it's a normal thing, and everyone has to go through the silent period. I recorded a video last year on why do we understand English but we can't speak it, and I talk about this problem in details. Let me just read a comment from Isalmu. That's a great question, Isalmu. You can keep this question till the end, and you ask me. You mentioned that your problem, you have the same problem as Aisha, but you are not yet able to find the appropriate environment to start advancing, working on your English. That's a great question. If you keep it, Isalmu, if you keep it till the end, I will definitely answer it. But I don't have a lot of time, so I would like to finish the presentation, and then we will open the floor for your questions, guys. Okay, so I was talking about the silent period. Everyone must go through the silent period. Even as children, we went through the silent period. If you just try to remember or look at your little sister or little brother, you will see that children don't start speaking their mother tongue till 2 years. Some of them even go till 3 years. And when they start speaking, they don't say Assalamu alaikum immediately. They start by Baba, Mama. They start by Yubba and Yumma. They don't go straight away to Assalamu alaikum and complicated things. So your brain needs time in order to understand the language and then process it and make it available for your mouth to speak. This is not scientifically proven, it's just an analogy, but you get the point. Great. I think we talked about the best way to learn English, and we talked about the problems that we go through as English learners through the story of Aisha. So now we are going to talk about this book. I'm going to give you some time. I'm just going to introduce the book. In the meanwhile, you guys can answer your questions about the book and I will answer them. So I have been working on this book basically since I launched my website. Thank you very much, Isalmu. Just keep your question as I said earlier. Let me just read this comment. Okay, I just did this, we have Ali who's sharing an interesting comment. I didn't talk about reading, I only focused on listening, but you have to understand that it's the same thing for reading. But in the beginning you need to focus on listening, then you move on to reading. And if you're looking for something to read in English, that's why we have this book. Why Mauritanian students have languages? Is there any problem in our schools studying system? That's an interesting question. I'm just going to write it right here. What is the problem that we have as Mauritanians in our school system? Why? I think what I understand from your question is, why are we so bad at learning languages? Thank you so much for saying that, but I'm going to answer your questions. Okay, so the title of the book is English On. Let me just show it to you. It will be switched because of the camera, but you can see it, English On. The title, when you look at the title, you will see English, that's the language that we are trying to learn, and then you have On. On is the opposite of off, like you can turn on the light or turn it off. What I'm trying to say, if you look at the subtitle right here, it says, turn on your English. If you can understand it, you can speak it. So the whole book is to solve the problem that you guys have, that a lot of you mentioned here in the comments. It's here in order to help you start speaking. So if you don't understand English yet, if your level is not intermediate, so you don't understand English, this book won't help you. But if you understand English, but you just want to stop making that much of mistakes, I mean, we always keep making mistakes, even native speakers keep making mistakes, but you want to stop making those quote-unquote stupid mistakes. This book is yours. So, as I mentioned earlier, I spent 2 years trying to compress my whole experience with English. And what other language learners told me, I've met with a lot of language learners, both in Mauritania and in Tunisia. I met with a lot of English speakers. I had a lot of native English speakers read this book and give me their feedback. I went to my teachers and I talked to them about language learning. So what I tried to do in this book is to compress that whole experience in a small and easy to read book and hand it over to you guys so that it can, because I went through the same problem. I'm going through the same problem with some, more or less with French these days, but now at least I understand that it's a normal thing, and I know that it's only a matter of time before I start speaking fluently in French. Now that's the introduction for the book. How to get this book is quite easy. I will tell the admins to, I will actually do it right now. I'm going to share the link under the video to my website, or I'm going to let the admins do it themselves, because we need their permission. If when they will put a link under the video to my website, you will then be able to click on the link. It will take you to my website. You will find a box. You put in your name, your email, and click on it, and you will get your copy. The first thing you will get is on your inbox is an email asking you to confirm your subscription, and then after confirming your subscription, you'll get another email. You click on the link and you get your book. There's only a little difference between the book, this book, the printed version, and the ebook that you will get. But for that, you need to watch a whole video, a 7-minute video that I did talking only about this book. It will tell you everything you need to know about this book. Now I think I'm running out of time. I'm way running out of time because I was supposed to finish the whole live talk in 30 minutes. If the admins want to stop, they just send me a message and I will do so. But if you guys have any questions, make sure you ask them and I will definitely answer them for you. Okay, so just to go back to the first question, the future of computer science in Mauritania. I think it's very, very, very promising. I mean, I study computer science because I love it. I love computer science is a problem-solving tool. It allows you to solve your own problems. I mean, I'm passionate about English. I never learned English. I never went to the university to study English. I have some certificates in English. I mean, I went to some private schools, but I never learned English like as the main subject. Let me just write Usama's question. Maybe he has a question. We'll write it down, and then I go back to the future of computer science in Mauritania. Some kids start with. Okay, thank you so much. Question: Is it feasible that we shift from teaching science and math subjects in French to teach it? Well, that's a great question. Switch. That's a great question, Usama, and I think I have the right answer for it. Let me just write down this question. How can we help our native language as English speakers? Khadi, are you asking me how can we how can we improve our Arabic, for instance, classical Arabic, Arabi al-Fusha, after learning English? Is that your question? Can you clarify, please? I'm just going to write English plus Arabic. Okay, as I was saying, I think the future of computer science in Mauritania is very promising. And as I mentioned, computer science is a problem-solving tools. I didn't study English. I'm going to read your question, Salihu. But let me just finish. I didn't study English at the university. But with computer science, I was able to create my own website. It was quite easy for me to create my own YouTube channel, my Facebook page, all the plugins and the computer science stuff. It was quite easy for me, and this helped me work on my passion. Let me just read Salih's question. It happens we find a lot of learning English methods. Effortless, okay, effortless English learning, English only by listening, and so on. Do you think there is any particular easy method to learn? Okay, particular easy method. That's a great question, Salih. Yes, Arabic in researching we find only. That's a great answer. I'm sorry, that's a great question, Khadi. I'm going to answer it. So, computer science is very promising in Mauritania. It's very promising. I mean, we need platforms in Mauritania. We need e-learning. We need a lot of engineers. And computer science, the beauty of computer science is that it's evolving. What you're learning right now is going to change, but you will have the system set in your brain to learn new stuff quickly. And I think that computer science is one of the most promising fields and domains in Mauritania, not only in Mauritania, but on the world in general. Computer programmers are wanted in the US. They are wanted in England, let alone Mauritania. So just keep working on your computer science, become a great computer programmer, and you will get the best job in Mauritania. I promise you, inshallah. Okay, Mauritania. What is the problem? What is our problem as Mauritanians with languages? Why do we study languages at school for 10 years, 12 years, and at the end of the day we are unable to speak in these languages? The answer is quite easy. Let me just. What's your channel on YouTube? Let me just write it down. Okay. The answer is quite simple, and straight away I will tell you this is not our problems. There is nothing special about us as Mauritanians. It's not in our DNA. It's not a genetic problem. It's not in our DNA. All around the world, people face the same problem. Schools, as I mentioned earlier, are miserable. With all due respect, I have wonderful teachers. I respect all teachers out there, but the system itself is miserable at teaching languages. With all due respect, as I said, I have a chapter in the book. You will get your book. There is a whole chapter that deals with this problem. I mentioned as a disclaimer that I have no problem with teachers because as I said earlier, we have wonderful teachers, but the system itself is not set for language learning. I mean, the time is short. You don't have the freedom to talk to your friends. When you talk to your friends, the teacher will yell at you. You have 2 hours per week. That's not enough. Just read the chapter and you will learn everything you need to know about this problem. Let me just read this question. I will answer your question, Khadi. I will get to it. I will talk about the algorithms and all of this. I can teach you programming. Thank you so much. Talib is saying that he can teach me Java programming languages, PHP, and all computer programming language, but I will have to teach him English as a compensation. But I use the example of computer programming languages in the video because I love computer programming languages in general. But believe me, I consider myself as a programmer, and thank you so much. I will contact you because I need to learn PHP. Great. Let's just move on to Khadi's question about Arabic. How can we? I think I have watched recently a video on Facebook trying to address this problem. Why is it difficult for us as Arabs to find content on the web? It is difficult. It is difficult. If you ask any question on Google or on YouTube, the number of results that you find is unacceptable. I mean, Arabic language is spoken by a huge number of people around the world. Why is it that when you search for something in Arabic, you don't find answers in Arabic? You don't find e-books in Arabic? Most of the books that are online in Arabic, they are not e-books. It's not electronic. It's actually a printed book, scanned. So you can't select, you can't copy, you can't paste. So this is a real problem. I've seen an initiative, I think it's done by Qatar, to try to translate scientific content, scientific knowledge to Arabic. It's a great initiative. But I think our participation you and I, and these people who are watching as individuals, the best thing, I have a little problem here. I'm going to have to be quick because we're running out of battery. So as individuals, the best thing we can do is to learn English, and then if there is any chance in which we can participate to translate into Arabic, we have to do that. I'm going to have to answer the questions quickly. Thank you. Khadi is saying exactly. Okay. I have a question here that is about particular, but I don't remember the question exactly. Yes, Osama's question. Can we switch? Yes. Can we switch to French? I mean, we study science subjects in Mauritania in French. Why not switch to English? I mean, we are going to learn a second language anyway. Why not learn English instead of learning French and then having to learn English after that? This is a problem faced by a lot of students here in Tunisia. I met with a lot of people who say, why don't we learn English instead of French? French is obviously no longer the language of science. We should then learn English and understand science, and then if we understand it, if we need French, we can learn it. I think it's a great idea and we should definitely do it. I mean, I love French, but we don't need it for science anymore. Because I have a brother who studies in Paris, and one day I sent him a message asking him, Abdullah, can you please list for me the subjects that you study in Paris? And when he sent me the list of the subject matters that they study, I was surprised because all of them were in English. So if French people are studying in English, why do we start with French? Why not study in English? I agree. I think we should start studying in English, but we need to talk to the educational ministry in order to solve this problem. Some will say that it will alienate us. No. I don't think nowadays learning languages. Khadi is asking me in Paris. Yes. This student is actually, he's an engineer. He's probably watching us. I was talking to him a few minutes ago. He's in Paris, and most of the subject matters that they study are in English. It's quite surprising. I was really surprised. You're welcome, Osama. You're welcome. Guys, one of you asked me a question that has the word particular in it, but it seems that I forgot the question. I just wrote particular. The YouTube channel is Learning English Successfully. But I will make sure that I will leave the links in the comments. The admins we will leave the links in a comment so that you can access the website easily, the Facebook page easily, the YouTube channel easily, and I will be very happy to have you there. Okay, I think we're done with the questions. If you guys have an extra question before the battery goes down, you can ask it. Great. We still have 19%. Any question? Okay, Abidin, if you're watching, if you have any questions, you can send them. If you have any extra questions, you can send them. Yep. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now I remember the question. The question was asked by Salihu. He said that there is a lot of methods out there to learn English. Is there any particular way that is so successful? I think, in my opinion, there is only one method. It's learn English in a natural way. And do not expect, there are a lot of marketing books that tells you that you can learn English in 6 months. I don't believe in this stuff. I mean, learning English is a natural process. Your brain is involved. Your thinking is involved. I'm sorry. Your brain is involved. Your thinking is involved. Your tongue. I mean, it's a physical activity, but at the same time, it's a psychological activity. So it takes a lot of time. once you try to learn it in a natural way, and at the same time you give it your time, because it will take a lot of time. I mean, in one of my videos I said that you need to spend 90 minutes working on your English if you want to make a breakthrough. And that's true, because unless you spend a lot of time listening to the language, reading and watching videos, it will be very difficult. So you have to understand one thing: learn the language in a natural way and spend time on it. Give it your time, because it takes time. It's a long process. And just get rid of all the marketing and sugar-coated words about learning language in 6 months, or just buy my product and you will start speaking. I'm saying here, take this book, read it, and it will help you start speaking. But what goes without saying is, take this book, read it, apply the lessons, and then you will start speaking. If you just take the book and you're listening to something else, a music or something like that, and you go through the whole book, you read it from cover to cover, you will not start speaking magically. It will not happen. You have to read it first, and then apply the lessons and the pieces of advice that I share. And then I promise you, bi'idhnillah, you will start speaking. Okay, Hassan is asking how to learn scientific English, technical words. I think if you are going to learn English, just learn English. That's the best solution. But you can start by, like, you are a language learner, you're going to spend like 1 year or 1 year and a half learning English. But you need technical terms. Keep studying English in a natural way, but at the same time, try to prioritize technical terms. I mean, download a book, download an application with the technical terms, and then review these terms more than the other words. But if you're going to learn a language, just learn it in a natural way. In your case, prioritize and make your technical vocabulary as your priority. And there are a lot of books and lists and applications that can help you with medicine vocabulary, marketing vocabulary. They call them business English, science English, technical English. You can download them and read them. But generally, you need to learn the language in a natural way, because you don't want to be like someone who only understands technical words, but when you actually try to speak with him or with her, they won't be able to speak. I don't have, for the moment, we don't have, on the website, we don't have a Snapchat yet. But just make sure you join us on the Facebook page. Once we have the Snapchat, I will definitely share it with all of you guys. There is a private WhatsApp group. When you watch the video on the book, you will understand everything. Guys, if you don't have any questions, just start saying, send N for no. And if you don't have any questions, write a comment with N in it as a no. When we see a lot of N's, we can then end the live broadcast. I'm going to take this opportunity to share the links with you guys, because you are more than welcome, Khadi. You are more than welcome. Okay, when you take a look at the comments, you will see my name, Aziz Abderrahman, and then you will see the links that you need. That's a brilliant rule, Salihu. Salihu is asking about what about the 10,000 hour rule. Does any one of you guys have you ever heard this rule, the 10,000 hour rule? If you have heard it before, just let me know. I'm going to share with you the link, and then I'm going to answer Salihu's question right away. Khadi, no, she didn't. Okay, I will tell you everything you need to know about it. Usame, is the book available in workshop libraries? Yes, It is available both in Mauritania and Tunisia for the moment. Mutari have heard the 10,000 hour rule. Mutari, can you tell me the title of the book in which the 10,000 hour rule was mentioned? Okay, I'm just going to leave the comments, but just make sure at the end of this live talk, they will be available as comments. The links to the website, YouTube channel, and Facebook page. Okay, let's talk about the 10,000 hour rule. There is a book written by Malcolm Gladwell called The Outliers. An amazing book. I've read this book 2 times, listened to it as an audiobook. If your English is advanced, go read it. Malcolm Gladwell talks about the 10,000 hour rule as a separate chapter. And it's just mind-blowing. I loved this chapter. I printed it on a paper and I read it many times. What he's trying to argue for is that, let me just read. Okay, the WhatsApp, if you know, just watch the video. Maybe I will share it with you guys. When you go to the page, you will find the latest video is on the book. You will understand everything you need to know about the WhatsApp group. So, to go back to Malcolm Gladwell, what he was basically trying to say is that if you want to excel in anything in life, if you want to become the best computer programmer like Bill Gates, if you want to speak English like Shakespeare, if you want to memorize the Quran like Abdul Basit, if you want to do anything, no, it's actually, Khadi, it's our rule. R-U-L-E. The 10,000 hour rule. Okay, if you want to excel in anything, if you want to become a worldwide authority, respected by anyone in the domain that you're in, you need to spend 10,000 hours working on your craft. You need to, like, let's just take the example of English. If you want to speak English 100%, like Shakespeare, you need to spend 10,000 hours working on your English. Okay, what does it mean 10,000 hours? Well, it basically means about 10 years. So if you want to, according to Malcolm Gladwell, if you want to speak English like Shakespeare, you need to spend 10 years working on it. Working on it 3 hours every day, 3 hours every day, something like that. Even though I definitely consider the 10,000 hour rule as valid, I don't agree with the fact that you need to spend 10 years in order to master a language. But it's real. At least you have to understand one thing, that there is an amount of time that is needed. You have to put it in. You have to spend enough time. Anything you're going to do, Talib, I think will agree with me. If you want to become a computer programmer, you have to spend hours and hours and hours programming. Otherwise, you will get nowhere. Same thing with learning a language. Same thing with memorizing the Quran. Same thing with anything out there. I hope you guys understood the 10,000 hour rule. Great. Mulay Zain he's mentioned that he heard about it in Khawatir. By the way, I'm a huge fan of Khawatir. Muhammad Shugari in general. Yes, maybe it's that, exactly. Okay guys, okay. If you have any questions, I will give you 2 minutes and then we will end the live and I will see you somewhere else on the page, on the YouTube channel or wherever you want. Thank you so much, Khadi, you're welcome. I hope that the audio quality was acceptable. I was supposed to put on my microphone, but the phone audio is acceptable, I think. You're more than welcome, Salih. It was a pleasure answering your questions. You're welcome, what I say. What about keeping your level alive? Well, it's just practice. You're welcome. In fact, you need to keep practicing. That's it. You have to understand, language is just like a muscle. Boys will understand this better, but language is just like a muscle. If you want to stay muscular, you have to keep working on your muscle. You have to train every day. Language is exactly like that. If you spend 6 months without speaking in English, your English will die away. with time. But yes, sometimes you're so busy with your studies, so busy doing other things, or with working on your job. That's acceptable. But as soon as you get a vacation, like summer vacation, grab your smartphone and start talking, start recording videos of yourself. But you have to keep working on it. You have to keep working on it. Okay guys, it has been a pleasure doing this live talk with you guys. Big thanks to the team behind RGSM. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I think I have a question. I'm going to read Usama's question for you guys because I think it's quite interesting. Do you plan on volunteering or doing some sort of work of a summer in school in Mauritania to help those kids get a bit of... Okay, great. I think this is a great question. I would be definitely ready to do this, but I need a team with me. I need a group of passionate and excited language learners with me. If you're going to help me, it will be great, and I will definitely do it with you. Okay. Hassan is going to the gym all the time. Excitement in a miserable system. I'm sorry, you're repeating the same, the miserable system. Yes, they definitely need excitement, but I think we live today in a very interconnected world, and the internet is everywhere. The whole project of LES and English on, the book, is to help people, especially Mauritanians, but not only Mauritanians, it's a worldwide project, learn English. And we'll be able to do that. It's definitely one of our long-term goals, to reach Mauritanians in their homes, young and adults. And we will be able to do that with smartphones, with computers, and with tablets. So it's quite doable, and it will be done, inshallah. Thank you guys, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure. Big thanks to the team in RGSM, and see you later. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.